millions of years before cities, languages, or legends. Earth was a battlefield of survival. The world trembled under the footsteps of creatures far larger, faster, and more unpredictable than anything we know today. Among these ancient giants was a beast both feared and misunderstood. The giant skunk, a colossal ancestor of modern species, capable of defending itself with a power that could stop predators and early humans in their tracks. In this forgotten era, where every sunrise brought a new struggle, early humans learned to read the land, follow the wind, and work together to protect their young. Their survival depended not on strength alone, but on courage, instinct, and unity. Today, we return to that prehistoric world to witness what happens when primitive humans, armed only with stone tools and raw determination, come face to face with a creature whose presence could change the balance of life itself. The first light of dawn crept slowly over the ancient plain, revealing a world untouched by time, a world where every shadow carried a story, and every sun on the wind meant survival or death. The early humans of this region, a small band of families who moved with the seasons, had learned to wake before the warmth reached the grass. They rose quietly, their movements instinctive, shaped by countless generations of danger. The elders always said that the land spoke before it acted, and on this morning, the earth felt unsettlingly still. Even the birds remained silent, as if unwilling to disturb whatever was lurking beyond the tree line. The hunters, 4 men and 1 woman, moved ahead of the group to inspect the area. Their stone-tipped spears tapped lightly against their palms as they crouched near the dirt, inspecting footprints left overnight. Usually, the land was full of trails, herbivores searching for water, predators pacing the edges of the forest, small scavengers digging in the soil. But today, one footprint dominated the rest, a massive, oval-shaped impression, deeper than anything the hunters had seen in moons. The size alone was alarming, yet what truly unsettled them was the pattern. 2 deep hind prints, a heavy tail drag, and signs of earth disturbed in wide arcs as though something huge had pivoted or turned. One of the hunters placed his hand inside the print and felt the cold dampness lingering in the center. Whatever made this track pass through not long before sunlight touched the ground. The group exchanged glances, instincts bristling. They had heard whispers and distant calls of the enormous creature some nights, a low rumbling presence that moved with unusual confidence. Though they had never seen it up close, the elders spoke of it, a massive relative of the skunk, but far more imposing, capable of releasing a defense so overwhelming that even large predators avoided its domain. The hunters looked toward their clustered families behind them, children still rubbing sleep from their eyes, unaware of the threat drifting closer with every passing hour. The air carried a faint musk, drifting from the deeper parts of the forest, thick enough to sting the nose. The hunters knew what it meant, and without a word, they signaled to the group. Everyone began to pack silently, moving with caution. Mothers lifted their children onto their hips, keeping them quiet. The older children helped gather woven baskets and simple tools. Though they were used to constant movement, attention pressed against each heartbeat today. Something enormous was sharing the land with them, and it was not a predator guided by hunger. It was a creature that defended itself fiercely, reacting to threats with blinding speed. As the tribe moved toward higher ground to observe the forest edge, they kept their bodies low, walking along the grass flattened by the night wind. Suddenly, a tremor pulsed through the earth. At first, they thought it was distant thunder. The sky was clear, but storms sometimes gathered unexpectedly. Then they felt it again, a slow, rhythmic vibration that traveled through the soil and into their bones. The children clung to their mother's legs, eyes wide. The adults exchanged urgent glances. Something massive was moving, and it was not far. Peering through gaps in the tall grass, one of the hunters spotted movement brush shaking, branches snapping, and a large dark shape pushing its way through the forest edge. It emerged slowly at first, revealing a broad, muscular body covered in thick fur with a sweeping stripe along its back. Its tail alone was larger than a full-grown human. The creature's head lowered as it sniffed the ground, searching for food among the roots and fallen fruit. It moved with surprising gentleness despite its colossal size, but its presence radiated danger simply because of the power it carried. The early humans had no desire to provoke it. They knew that the giant skunk did not attack without reason, but once it felt threatened, its defensive spray could disable a group for days, blinding them, leaving them helpless against predators and poisoning the air around them. A single misstep could doom the entire tribe. The hunters watched its behavior carefully, studying its routine, trying to determine if it had noticed them. For a time, it seemed unaware, simply grazing and exploring. But then the wind shifted. The musk thickened instantly. The creature lifted its head, nostrils flaring, sensing something unfamiliar. Its stance changed, no longer calm, but alert. The humans froze, knowing that running would draw attention. Their hearts pounded, yet their bodies stayed perfectly still, guided by pure survival instinct. The giant skunk took a heavy step toward the open field, sniffing again. The hunters slowly lowered their weapons, knowing that even raising them could be seen as a threat. A soft whimper escaped one of the youngest children before her mother gently covered her mouth, trembling. The sound carried enough to make the creature pause. It turned slightly, eyes scanning the grass, its tail lifting just a little, a warning sign. The hunters motioned for everyone to stay low and quiet, but anxiety spread through the children who didn't fully understand the danger. The creature stepped closer, drawn by the unfamiliar human scent drifting through the morning air. The tribe had faced predators before: saber-toothed cats, packs of hyenas, giant birds, but this was different. Those creatures hunted with clear intentions. They could be fought off, escaped, or driven away with fire. But this giant skunk was unpredictable, reacting more to fear than hunger. One wrong move would trigger an explosion of defense unlike anything else in the ancient world. The hunters knew they had to guide their people away without causing panic. Slowly, using careful hand gestures, they instructed the families to inch backward, moving toward a cluster of large stones where they could hide temporarily. Every step felt like a battle between instinct and discipline. The creature's ears twitched. Its breath rumbled through the air. The musk grew sharper. The tribe's movements grew slower, more deliberate, as though the weight of the moment pressed down on their muscles. The creature's massive tail rose another inch, signaling its awareness, and the humans braced themselves, knowing that even a slight misinterpretation could trigger its defense. The giant skunk stood in the field with its massive tail lifted slightly, its instincts sharpening as it sensed the strange presence nearby. The early humans could feel the air tightening around them, thick with tension and the raw pulse of survival. The hunters crouched low behind the tall grass, exchanging quick glances that spoke louder than words. They had confronted predators many times before, but this situation called for something entirely different. This creature was not hunting them. It was responding to fear. If they startled it, even unintentionally, the consequences could be devastating. The tribe needed a plan, one that relied on strategy rather than strength. One of the hunters slowly pressed his palm to the ground, signaling the others to stay calm and wait. He observed the creature's movements carefully. Its nostrils flared, sniffing the unfamiliar scents carried by the morning breeze. Its ears twitched as it listened for any rustle or breath that might reveal a threat. Despite its size and imposing presence, it was behaving like an animal trying to understand its surroundings rather than dominate them. The hunter knew that if they could guide their people away quietly and redirect the creature's attention to something else, they might avoid disaster. The tribe's families huddled behind a cluster of rocks several yards away. The mothers held their children close, trying to steady their trembling bodies. Some of the younger members had never seen a creature this large from such a close distance. The musk in the air was growing stronger, carrying a harsh bite that made their eyes water even without a full release. They knew they didn't have much time before the creature either discovered them or reacted to its own rising anxiety. The hunters whispered softly among themselves, planning their next move. They needed to create a distraction, something harmless that would shift the creature's attention without provoking it. One of them reached for a handful of dried branches and small stones scattered across the ground. The idea was simple: make a noise far enough away from the tribe so that the creature would investigate that direction instead. But they had to execute it flawlessly. If the giant skunk detected sudden movement or sensed aggression, it would lift its tail fully and release its powerful spray, blinding and choking anything caught within its range. The first hunter crawled slowly along the ground, his body pressed flat against the earth. He moved inch by inch, careful not to disturb the grass too violently. The others watched his progress anxiously, ready to intervene if anything went wrong. He reached a position several yards to the right of the creature, far enough that his actions wouldn't lead the animal directly toward the tribe. With a steady hand, he tossed a small stone into the bushes. It made a soft rustle, barely noticeable, but enough for the giant skunk's sensitive ears to pick up. The creature's head lifted immediately. It turned toward the noise, sniffing the air. Its tail lowered a fraction, signaling curiosity rather than alarm. Encouraged, the hunter threw another stone, slightly farther this time. The creature lumbered a few steps in that direction, its attention shifting away from the humans. The tribe felt a brief wave of relief, but they knew they weren't safe yet. They needed to move while the creature was distracted, and they needed to do it silently. The families began to crawl on their hands and knees, staying low to the ground. The older children helped guide the younger ones, teaching them to move slowly despite their fear. The hunters positioned themselves between the creature and the tribe, ready to intervene if anything changed. Every sound carried weight, every snapped twig, every shifting foot threatened to undo their fragile advantage. The giant skunk's tail twitched whenever it heard something, and each twitch made the tribe freeze in place, holding their breath until the creature calmed again. Just as they were gaining distance, a sudden breeze swept across the plain, carrying the human scent directly toward the creature. It stiffened, its body tensing as the familiar musk of fear reached its senses. The hunters saw its tail lift slightly again, higher than before. The creature sniffed the air deeply, confused by the mix of scents, distant movement from the distraction, and the unmistakable presence of humans. Its instinct struggled to decide whether it was threatened or simply curious. The lead hunter knew they couldn't rely on stealth alone anymore. They needed a stronger distraction, something bolder, yet still non-threatening. He reached into the leather pouch hanging from his waist and pulled out a small bundle of dried leaves bound with twine. It was a simple tool the tribe often used to create smoke signals or carry embers. With careful hands, he struck two stones together, producing a faint spark that ignited the dry material. The smoke rose slowly, drifting in thin curls across the field. Smoke, though not alarming to the creature, was unusual enough to draw its attention. The wind carried the faint trail toward the giant skunk, and its nose twitched as it picked up the unfamiliar scent. Its tail lowered slightly as curiosity replaced tension. The hunter tossed the smoking bundle farther into the brush, keeping his movement smooth and steady. The creature followed it, sniffing and investigating the rising trail. It moved slowly but steadily away from the tribe's escape path. Seeing the opportunity, the tribe accelerated their movements. Still staying low, they slipped between rocks and tall grass, inching toward a narrow slope that led to higher ground. From there, they could put more distance between themselves and the creature. The hunters remained at the rear, ensuring no one lagged behind or made sudden noise. Every step felt like walking on the edge of a cliff, aware that one misstep could trigger a disaster that would echo across the entire plain. The giant skunk continued examining the smoking leaves, nudging them gently with its snout. It seemed more puzzled than threatened, which bought the tribe precious time. But the animal remained alert, its ears rotating toward every distant sound, its instincts always ready to defend itself if something felt wrong. The hunters guided the tribe along a winding path through thick grass and patches of low shrubs, using natural cover to keep hidden. The sunlight grew brighter, casting long shadows that danced across the land. The warmth helped carry the smoke farther, continuing to distract the creature as they moved. Even as they climbed higher ground, the tribe didn't relax. They knew the giant skunk's awareness extended far beyond its immediate surroundings. Its sense of smell alone could detect them from great distances if the wind shifted again. The hunters constantly checked the creature's position, adjusting their route whenever necessary. They moved with the precision of people who understood the land deeply, who had learned to read nature like a map of unspoken warnings.